And I just wanted to hand over to both of you at some point to give an idea, not of your loves, but of your present hates. Perhaps Jordan.
Yeah.
Hates. Well, I would say that I spent a lot of time over the last 30 years trying to understand the part of me that could be deeply satisfied as an Auschwitz prison guard. And I would say that that part is something that's worthy of hate. And I think the best way to overcome it is to recognize it in yourself and to do everything possible to constrain it. And that's what's given me an overwhelming horror, both of the nihilistic void and the catastrophes of totalitarianism. And the reason that I've turned to the degree that I have to the analysis of religious traditions, not losing my scientific perspective in the meantime, is because I've done everything I could to extract out the wisdom necessary to understand how to deal with that bit of unredeemed evil that every bit of us possess.
Well, I would say that I hate unnecessary suffering, and especially my capacity for it. And I see so much of my time, conscious time, moment to moment, devoted to this experience that should be familiar to all of you, which is to be captured by thoughts of the past or the future, which are, which almost by definition have a mediocrity so transcendent that it's just, it is what makes human life just pure monotony and pettiness, and everything that religion advertises itself as a corrective to, right? So I mean, what I'm sensitive to is that someone like Sayyid Qutb, when he came to this is Osama bin Laden's favorite philosopher, when he came to America in the 50s, he saw his hosts and their neighbors spending all their time, bragging about how well mowed their lawns were and what new Chevrolets they had purchased, and he looked at all of this as it was just the quintessence of desecration and lost opportunity and the lack of profundity, and for him the corrective obviously was Islam. And half of that is right. It's possible to be totally captivated by the wrong things in this life, and to make yourself not. So obviously, being a guard at Auschwitz with a clear conscience is the extreme, the extreme
I was
case
thinking
of
more
that.
of happiness.
What was that?
More of being a guard at Auschwitz with happiness.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Even worse still, right? So that's the extreme case, and to realize that that job was not only filled by psychopaths, right? That psychologically normal people could be brought to that point. I recognize that that's the situation we're in, but most of us live our lives in a different place where it's just mediocrity and pettiness and needless anxiety, and very dimly we recognize the possibility of overcoming that on a day-to-day basis. And honestly, I think the atheism, the lack of belief, the lack of faith in an afterlife, for instance, the lack of belief in the notion that you get everything you want or may get everything you want after you die, it helps leads to greater depth rather than to superficiality here. It's like when I kiss my daughters goodnight, right? It is with the understanding that I may never see them again, right? It's not with the assumption that if the roof caves in, we'll all be reunited in heaven along with our pets, right? Which is what many people find consoling about faith. But that, and so what I would say, what I hate in myself and what I hate in our culture is everything that conspires to make the preciousness and sacredness of the present moment difficult to realize. And that's the tide against which I keep pushing.
I'm not going to answer my own question, primarily because of the length of the list and the knowledge of the time. But I would say that if there was one thing I hate, it's the fact that conversations like this, civil discussion on the most important matters between people who have enormous amounts in common and have important disagreements, which engage with the past and which are going to be facilitated for a long time by a knowledge of all the extraordinary progress we're about to hit, can take place in an arena like this with an audience like you, who have all come out and now sat here for 2 hours. And I think it's, at any rate from my point of view, one of the most positive things I can imagine in the world at the moment, that an evening like this is happening with an audience like you.
Yes, thank you.
And unless either of you want to say anything, I think on behalf of all of us, I'd just like to say what a thrill this is for us, and thank you to you. And I hope that this is an example of a constructive discussion of a kind that might even at some point catch on. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Everyone, please put your hands together for Sam Harris, Jordan Peterson, and Douglas Murray.
Thanks, Jordan.
Well done. Yes.
Thanks,
Be continued.